Welcome back, folks. This is Shane. I thought I'd take you on a little adventure today. Now that we're getting out and we're playing live again, well, I'm only doing it at the Blues Jam night every Sunday, but I thought what we'd do is find a new pedal board and piece together a new pedal board. I'm sort of falling secretly in love with the Strat again, so I want to put together a board that really complements that, as well as just being a great secondary board, or just a point of difference compared to the board I'm always playing. Now, I've had the same effects on my board, give or take, for the last probably 3 years or so. I did a full video about that. If you missed it, I'll link it up in the cards and you can check it out. But essentially, I've got so many great effects pedals that I want to put together this second board just to have that different flavor, to have that different sound, and just to have a bit of a different vibe on stage. There's a lot of stuff that kind of goes to waste in the cupboard, and eventually I sell it, and then I'm like, you know what, maybe I should have kept that, and then I've rebought stuff. And so in today's video, I'm going to find what I hope to be the best board for this particular job, which means I want to find one that's slightly longer than the one that I've already got, and that will allow me to probably put a couple more effects on, but also fit some larger effects, because I've got these Maxon Vintage Series pedals, I think they're called, which are they're quite large and they sound unreal. So those two are definites on the board. Without question, they're really great. I've had a chance to test this tube screamer or dual tube screamer type pedal, which is from a company called Jux, and it's called the Professional Overtube, and it's basically like Stevie Ray's dual tube screamer setup in one pedal. So I want to put that on the board. And there's a couple of sort of pedals I wish that were vertical that aren't, so I'm gonna put those on this board as well, all being well. So ideally, I'm looking for a pedal board that's probably about 2 pedals wider than the one I've got. Now, I don't really care too much about the brand thing, so it can literally be any brand as long as it comes with a good gig bag, and the gig bag has an over-shoulder strap. For me, that's one of the most important things. I know that people might laugh at that, but you know, if you're carrying your amp in one hand, you've got your guitar in the other hand, you want to be able to sort of strap your pedal board over your shoulder. At least for me, that's the way that I want to run it anyway. It just makes getting in one big go a whole lot easier than having to do multiple trips to the car. Now, getting out and playing live has been an interesting experience. You know, I realize how rusty I am after 8 months. Not so much on the guitar playing side, but just coordination and my singing, the vocal coordination, and just my recall for lyrics, even songs I've written, has been tough. So I've been bringing a book with me most weeks, and you know, if you're in a similar situation where you haven't played live for a long time, bring a book full of lyrics, because it really helps. You know, I see the same guys forget the same songs every week, irrespective of the lockdowns and all that kind of stuff. But you know, it really does help you, and you know, put in a little bit of time to get the coordination down as well. I'm a big believer in jamming, right? So I'm happy for the drummer to set up a groove, and then we'll all jam around him, or I'll set up a groove and everyone can come in from that, or whatever the case may be, right? Or the other guitar player on stage. So I love doing that, and part of what I get excitement out of playing live is that unknown. You know, it's the same old thing when it comes to the jam nights. You see a lot of the same people playing the same songs all of the time, doing them the same way, and it just gets old. So I always like to spice things up and try playing the same songs, even a little bit different, or play a completely different groove. Alright, so there we have it. I ended up buying the Warwick Rockboard 2.2, which is slightly wider than the pedal train that I've got, and it's only the size of one pedal high, which is perfect. It doesn't have that rail no one ever uses at the top. Well, I shouldn't say no one ever uses. I sometimes throw my microphone in that rail, but generally I don't ever use it. So I'm pretty wrapped with this. I got a good deal on it, so massive thanks to Sky Music again. All right, so I ended up with the Rockboard Duo 2.2, as I mentioned earlier, and this pretty much was a far better value pedal board than buying another pedal train. The pedal train that's about this big is more expensive than this one, which is quite a bit bigger. So yeah, overall I'm pretty wrapped with this. That's my receipt, and here it is. So while this had already been opened, I was one of the guys that opened it a couple of weeks back because been thinking about doing this for a while, and I thought today's the day. It has to happen. So yeah, I like the board here. It's nice and light. It's basically a folded piece of metal. And it's got some screws on the bottom just for the feet, but that's it. It's really cool. Now I've got a power supply I'm going to be using with this as well. Nice little small one that will work well with this, and it should power all of the pedals, no problems at all. So what I'm going to do now is show you a little bit about the board, and then we'll set it up because, yeah, I'm looking forward to getting this ready for tonight. So let me just refocus this. So as you can see, it's angled, which I really like as well. It's not dead flat, which means it's going to make, you know, tapping on the pedals that little bit easier. Included, we also get the Velcro and all the accessories you need just to get the pedals on the board. We get the all-important shoulder strap, which is a necessity. And we get some stuff I'm never going to look at. Yeah, the bag itself, I should point out, feels really good. It's got this sort of like raincoat material kind of stuff. It's got some feet on the bottom as well, which I really like, and this rubber piece along here. So it feels like a good bag. The main thing with this sort of stuff is that the zips are good. And yeah, usually that's the first thing to go on any board. But you know, another benefit of this as well, another reason why I went for this one, is if the zips do break, you've still got a piece of Velcro at the top here you can put over the straps like this just to keep it in place. So, you know, it should last quite a while. All right, here's the end result. And I say end result, but you know, this board's made to experiment with different pedals as well as to have a great Strat sounding pedal board. And then also I can plug anything into this now, and I'm going to explain a little bit about that process. I'm going to do a full deep dive video about how to set up your pedal board and what I think about when I'm doing it, because not all pedals work well with each other. Just because you buy an overdrive doesn't mean it's going to sound great with another one. It's something that a lot of people don't tell you. So this Overdrive Pro OD820 acts as both a clean boost and an overdrive circuit going into the Jux dual tube screamer, which is the overtube pedal. This kicks ass. This is so good, and it's stacked far better than I could have hoped for. So it not only sounds good on its own, but you can push things into it and it sounds even better. So great pedal, I dig it. Then just as a bit of a safety net, if I change guitars or I bring a Strat and say a Les Paul, I've got my Royal Flush. So that's a lot of overdrive pedals, right? There's 3 overdrives, but one can be a clean boost and one is a 2-in-1. And so is that kind of like a 2-in-1 as well. But lots of different flavors, but very simple. I'll either be using these two together or these two together or just one on its own or whatever. I can run it any way that I like. It's pretty cool like that. They all work well. Even if I was to choose this one and this one, they're all going to sound great. Then I'm going into the Killer V from Crazy Tube Circuits, which is like a Fender vibrato effect. It's really nice modulation. And then a pedal that I totally forgot about. Well, I shouldn't say I forgot about it. I just didn't use it much. I've always got it in the back of my mind saying, man, I should give this a go. So I love spring reverb, but there's times where I want it just to sound epic. And that's what this is. This Omni Reverb from Keeley has 3 different modes: room, spring, and plate. So I set it up for the room sound, which just gives a little bit of extra air around the note. I love it. It sounded great with my Fender amp and then the analog delay. So that's the board. Now, it's not maybe the tidiest. Right now I can see that this pedal's not even on straight. But it is what it is. You know, I'll modify this, and odds are I'm going to be sort of taking pedals on and off if, you know, I want to test something out in the live mix. At least I'll have another board that I can do that with. Sometimes I love just the simplicity of taking the pedal board that I know and plonking it on the floor and having that same tone all of the time. And other times I'm like, you know what? I want to experiment a bit more. There's some great effects out there. So I'm going to take this out tonight and have a play with it. But I'm wrapped with this board. Putting it together was far better than of an experience than my pedal train. I'm not sponsored by these or anything like that either. I did buy this, as you saw. So yeah, it's just feels like a better board in my opinion, just in terms of its layout. All the cable management's great, and I've used nothing underneath it at all. So in terms of the power supply, It's still on the floor. I'm going to probably just Velcro it in under here or something like that, and I'll be good to go. But I'm dying to hear how this sounds. So coming on a road trip up the hill.
Come on, Teller, put some energy into it, man.